All right, when was the first time that you felt overwhelming jealousy to the point that you thought that you were going to explode into a million little pieces? For some people, this type of jealousy, it could maybe revolve around watching one of their coworkers get a promotion that they were just so sure that they were up for. For others, it may be watching somebody purchase their dream home, the one that they've always just imagined in their mind as the one that they would settle down into. And for some, well, it might be the way that somebody looks. So they inevitably go down a rabbit hole of plastic surgery, so they visibly no longer even look human anymore, but more of a creature that you would see inside of a J.R.R. Tolkien novel. I remember the first time that I was violently jealous of something that another kid had. The year... It's 2007. You could buy 15 houses with no credit. Phones became something more than just a snake-playing Nokia device that sat in your pocket. And one other major event happened that changed the life of every boy around my age forever. The launch of Halo 3. Hey, look, if you weren't aware, Halo 3's marketing campaign will be studied by philosophers in 300 years from now for its effectiveness. These ads and brand collaborations were plastered everywhere. Mountain Dew cans, giant posters on the sides of GameStops, a Burger King meal. Halo 3 became one of the most anticipated games of all time. But at the time, I was just a small colonel, yearning to become a cob. I was like way too young and stupid to really understand the gravity of what a first-person shooting violence murder experience on a video game can do to the dopamine receptors of a young boy. So when my mom and dad took me and my brother to one of their friends' kids' birthday parties, and he unwrapped an Xbox 360 bundle with Halo 3 inside of it, I thought nothing about it. It's just another gaming console. Who cares? I soon cared.
Within 5 seconds of booting up the game.
Guns, violence, aliens, vehicles,
digital lady parts.
My brain was firing off like an old person sitting at a slot, dumping their retirement check into it and double tapping the screen at the same time, playing a slot machine that will literally never pay back the amount of money that they put into it. That day at that friend's kid's birthday party, it altered my brain. One random Sunday afternoon, I wish I could look back and ask my parents why they decided to do this, but one random Sunday afternoon after church, we left Kmart with an Xbox 360 bundle and a copy of Halo 3 ODST. Those Forge mode nights and local multiplayer sessions are absolutely burned into my head as some of the most fun and exhilarating moments of gaming that I have ever had. And because of that, to this day, Halo, it remains one of my favorite franchises of all time. And somehow, since Palantir decided to implant a chip into my brain without any consent whatsoever, they can now translate my thoughts to the government and private companies. I think that's the reason why they decided to release the new Halo campaign Evolved. Hey, guess what? You're welcome, gamers. Look, I saw this trailer and I was very intrigued by the new release. I looked at that and I thought,
let's do it.
This is the first edition of a Halo original series, trilogy series of videos where I'm gonna cover and talk about, and we're gonna cover and talk about the game. All right, to start off the series, let's get started with number 1, baby. I think it's time that we take a deep look into. I'm gonna sing it so I don't get a copyright strike. Welcome to my video. I don't have the title screen either because I played Master Chief Collection. Halo Combat Evolved is a 2001 first-person shooter that was developed by Bungie and released and published by Microsoft Game Studios for the original Xbox. The Halo Combat Evolved that we know that brought popularity of first-person shooters to consoles, it didn't really exactly start off how we know it as today. If one thing tells you how drastically the original thought process and development of the game went, it should be this one key fact. The game, it was originally called Monkey Nuts. Yes, just like the ones that Curious George drags around when he's hanging out with the man in the yellow hat. Initially, it was going to be a strategy game, and then it kind of shifted into maybe becoming a third-person shooter, and then it eventually became the first-person shooter that we know it as today. So at the time, a vice president at Bungie actually had contacts over at Apple, which inevitably led to a meeting with the creator of the iPhone himself, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, he thought this early kind of third-person prototype of Halo was dope. And they planned on announcing it at Macworld to showcase this new home computer first-person shooter game. Problem was at the time is the fact that Bungie was in an absolute pooper of a financial situation. They just released a game at the time that was called Myth 2, and Myth 2, 200,000 copies of the games that they put out in stores, like on floppy disks or whatever. I didn't look that hard into it. Basically, just had nothing on them. They were just blank. So to make up for this, they had to issue refunds of up to $800,000 worth of product. And that basically tanked them. Since they were basically a fart away from exploding into the sun, well, they started entertaining the idea that maybe they should sell off the company to a company that's bigger than them. The great thing was that there was one company at the time that was deciding to release a console that was going to go up against the two biggest giants in gaming at the time. This was Sony with their PlayStation and Nintendo with their GameCube. And this company that ended up working out of Delio, yeah, it's the company that we know that houses Halo to this day. It's Microsoft and their flagship console, the Xbox. Xbox at the time, it was fresh, it was new, like it didn't have like a Mario for its system, or it didn't have a massive game catalog that it licensed out from other gaming companies in the industry. And they were searching for the straight shot that would get them rising up throughout the gaming market. Halo, this was their golden ticket. It was their claim to fame. It was their Kim Kardashian naughty take game. It was released on November 15th, 2001. It sold upwards of 50% of its copies alongside an Xbox itself, selling over 5 million copies for the original Xbox. Halo Combat Evolved was the origin of a franchise that over time would soon to be valued at over $10 billion.
What's up, team? Excited to hop into this Halo universe. I just got a couple things to say here. First thing is I launched a movie channel, so if you like what I got going on here, we're doing the exact same style of content but about movies. Second thing is if you do really like this video, but you're not a fan of movies, whatever, all I ask is that if you can like, comment, subscribe, share this with a friend, because I don't have any sponsors. I don't sell any merch. All I do is have ads. But at the end of the day, that is really what's going to help me grow and help support the channel. So if you like what I got going on, please just do those things. Here's my cat. Today's his gotcha day. 3 years. Love this guy. All right. Hey, thanks for sticking around. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Halo Combat Evolved, it starts you off inside of a ship floating through space. The ship is called the Pillar of Autumn. The year is 2552, and humanity has expanded their influence across different portions of the galaxy using this new technology that they have developed called slip space. While Slipspace sounds like it would be a social media networking platform for people who love to fall victim to the nefarious banana peel on the ground, it's actually more of like a Star Wars going through hyperspace situation, so
Super duper fast.
using this new technology of Slipspace, humanity, they started to colonize across a bunch of different planets in the galaxy. In the process of this expansion, a technologically advanced alien faction has declared war against the human race. And this faction is known as the Covenant. The Covenant, they believe that humanity is just a spit in the face to their gods. These gods, they're known as the Forerunners, what I'm assuming that Toyota's SUV is directly named after. To combat this new threat, the United Nations Space Command has created augmented super soldiers known as Spartans to take these enemies on in head-on combat. The planet where these new super soldiers were trained and housed and a lot of their military equipment was kept at, this planet was known as Reach. And one day, the Covenant came down and attacked Reach, killing multiple Spartans and causing evacuation, which leads us to the ship that we see at the beginning of the game. This ship, again, the Pillar of Autumn, it slides out of slip space. It slips space out of slides. It slips spaces out of...
It slides out of space.
And the captain is speaking to what seems to be some sort of hot, sexually charged AI that is in charge of the entire ship and all of the systems that are going on around it and its travel and its weapons. The AI tells him that a whole lot of Covenant had tracked them through their slip space travel. They discovered something that's outside of the planet that they traveled to that's orbiting around it. This, just giant floating ring. Captain Keyes, he tells everybody to go full combat mode. And he instructs the AI named Cortana to go wake up their old friend. They crack a guy out of a cryogenic chamber, and in this moment, we are soon to find out who we are going to be playing as. Walt Disney. He has been released from cryogenic sleep underneath the vaults of Disney World to come back and ruin yet another Star Wars movie. No, I'm just playing. You play this guy, he's a Spartan that we were kind of talking about earlier, a Spartan named Master Chief. When he gets out of the cryogenic chamber, they tell him that they gave him a double dose of a wake-up stim after he gets out. And you know what? That's a little oddly familiar to me. I'd be doing the same thing when I get out of my metaphorical cryogenic chamber, which is just my comfy warm bed at 7 o'clock in the morning. The first thing that I do for a wake-up stim is absolutely dome a white monster literally as the crust in my eyes is cracking open and I can see the light of the world again. As Master Chief, as you're doing your diagnostics, I kind of immediately realized just how gigantic Master Chief actually is. Dude, that dude has to at least be 7'3", just towering over the people that are running his diagnostics for him. Dude, if the Pacers would have traded Miles Turner before Game 7 for Master Chief, we might have actually had a chance at winning the finals before Tyrese Halliburton's Achilles heel got sniped from the rafters. They have you step out of this airlock chamber and they basically make you do a DUI field sobriety test to make sure that you haven't had too many drinks before you get behind the wheel of a motor vehicle. A horde of Covenant, they come in, they bust in, and they start shooting down the crew members. You work your way through the halls of the Pillars of Autumn, and eventually you get up to the cabin where the captain's at, and Cortana. You go up with them, and y'all start chilling. You can tell off rip that Cortana and Master Chief have worked together in a past life somehow. They have this will they, won't they kind of chemistry that's just really hard to miss. Before you say, a person can't fall in love with an AI model, Cornborn, that's insane, that's ridiculous, that never happened. Hey buddy, look around you! Anyway, they decide that the most strategic move at the time is to abandon the Pillar of Autumn. In Cortana, she is the ship's most valuable asset. So she's assigned to get stuck directly in Master Chief's noggin using a USB thumb drive. The plan here is simple: evacuate down to that weird, giant, mysterious ring that they've found. Master Chief's escape pod, it lands on the ring. And every other Marine that was in that escape pod with him, yeah, they all just die on impact. I saw a comment while I was watching one of the cutscene videos after playing the game on YouTube talking about this scene. That made me laugh really, really hard about this part. Everybody in the pod died because Chief didn't sit down and buckle his seatbelt. When it crashed, he rattled around like a pinball, killing everybody with the weight of his suit. Enjoy the thought. Once you land on the ring, your main goal at first is to find other Marines that had crash landed from the Pillar of Autumn. Link up with Captain Keyes and try to figure out what's the best offensive strategy up against the Covenant. And you guys decide to split and go separate ways. Keyes is going to go find one of these weapons caches that he believes the Covenant are going after, and Master Chief and Cortana, they're going to go after the control room to kind of see just what the heck is even going on here. And after you reach the control center, Cortana, she uploads her digital cheeks directly into the ring's control center, but just to discover something kind of horrifying. The weapons cache room that Keyes is going after, it doesn't have weapons in it. It's something a little more sinister. You track them down only to discover that the room that they were going after is holding a parasitic alien life form known as the Flood. The Flood are these goofy looking little jellyfish creatures that hop onto any sort of living organism and turn them all into a hive mind. After the Flood gets released in this room, this orb looking Wheatley from Portal 2 looking guy pops down and he asks Master Chief for his help in taking down this new parasitic enemy. They get this piece of code called the Activation Index for the ring, thinking that it would just be a way to kill off the Flood. But unfortunately, the whole purpose of the Halo of the ring is to literally dismantle, destroy, obliterate any form of living life that is in the universe. Because the main thought was the Flood wouldn't have any life to attach onto. Master Chief looks at the Portal 2 Wheatley orb and he's like, yo, dude, you totally freaking bamboozled me, dude. And you tricked me into thinking what we were doing was just for the dopeness of all living kind and even like humans and stuff. And the robot's like, yeah, man, it kind of is. Like, this is kind of, it's to help everybody. Like, if everybody's gone, then I mean, the Flood is gone too. So why not? Master Chief, he decides that he's not going to kill all sentient life in the universe. So now you have, count it with me, 1, 2, 3 different factions and forms of enemies all coming up after you. Master Chief and Cortana, they decide that they gotta blow up this joint ASAP to avoid the Flood and the AI baseball to go in and kill all life in the universe. They decide that They decide that the best way to go about blowing up the Halo is by basically turning the crashed Pillar of Autumn into a nuke. They try to go out and find Keys again, the captain, because he's got this Neuralink implanted in his head that allows him to set off this sort of detonation, but unfortunately, our king has been taken in by the flood. They yoink his Neuralink out of his goopy noggin, and they head back to the Pillar of Autumn. AI Basketball, he is not happy about this, and he stops Cortana. They realize after this, and after the basketball got in there, he starts goofing with all of it, that they decide that the best way to blow this ma up is to set off a chain reaction in the engines. So they toss some nades in there, and you nearly make it off the ring in a ship. As you're whipping in it and you look back at the ring just blowing up into a trillion different pieces, you kind of just realize at the time that you actually just killed every single Marine that may or may not have been living on the ring, but it was worth it to stop the destruction of the entire universe, I guess. Cortana's all like, yeah, we did it. It's over now. We don't even got to tweak no more. It's not even tweak worthy anymore. And Master Chief hits this cold line where he goes, no, I think we're just getting started. The end. So the question is here. What is it that makes Halo Combat Evolved's story so dope? It is an incredibly unique sci-fi adventure. The thing is about science fiction adventures is that they always have a formula to them. Humans are in space doing dope stuff and aliens show up. It's pretty easy to, swing and miss when you try to write a new creative and unique storyline in the science fiction genre. Or even have something, that's unfortunately cheesy or unbelievable. But the thing that always works here when it comes to writing science fiction stories is the fact that you write something that ties down to reality and grounds people for a little bit. Humans struggle to survive in an ever-expanding cosmos makes it easier for players to feel attached to these characters and the weight of their decisions. And outside of the Space Marine versus Alien plotline, the team at Bungie, they incorporated something that is absolutely crucial to making any story engaging and leaving players wanting more information. Lore. Hey, there's just a big ass floating ring that's just circling around a planet right now. This is like the easiest question for any player to formulate in their head. Why? Throughout the playthrough of the game, it ironically evolves your purpose of combat more and more. Start off by fighting this alien race that humankind is so deeply entrenched with battling. Then you discover the ring's purpose, and then that unlocks just the most ancient alien of them all, the Flood. And I mean, speaking of the Flood, this was hands down one of the greatest plot twists in all of video game history. Finding out the purpose of the ring's existence is really what just solidifies one of these stories as one of the greats. The lore of who built the ring, why it was built, when it was built. Is Master Chief just, a little person inside of that big suit and he's wearing stilts and using broomsticks to navigate his arms around? All of these questions, they leave a player wanting more. Over time, Bungie would do everything in its power to drop a little bit of juice and a little bit of butter of lore and storytelling that we all crave all the time. And Halo Combat Evolved, its story, it laid down the foundation for what would end up becoming one of the greatest gaming storylines of all time. This is what made Halo Combat Evolved's storyline just so dope. Worlds and art in this game are just one of the most iconic and biggest staple points of its existence. For starters, let's just talk about the overall atmosphere that resides over Halo Combat Evolved. It is, surprisingly enough, one of the most realistic early 2000s games that I've ever seen. A lot of video games, the problem is that they are notorious for falling into that slot machine trap, using flashing colors and lights and color palettes that go a little bit beyond what is actually natural. But the slot machine trap, it does have a purpose. To get our little rat monkey brains to keep pushing the buttons and keep buying microtransactions and keep giving money to these companies that just keep making slop of games that don't even really matter. Halo's color scheme, just in the overall atmosphere, it's surprisingly just oddly realistic, with lush forests and crispy clean waters and a sky that you look up at and just makes you dream for more. The developers were really ahead of their time when it came to infusing realism into a game that's objectively just about farting around on a floating onion ring. And these colors are translated into a lot of the worlds that are housed inside of the levels that we play in the game. We got beautiful beaches on the Silent Cartographer. I pulled up, I felt like I was storming the beaches in Normandy. A lot of oddly futuristic, yet somehow at the same time ancient designs of a lot of the Forerunner artifacts on the Halo, like the control room or the library or some of the underground bridges. Or it kind of feels like you're sitting inside of a laser tag waiting room at Dave & Buster's during the Truth and Reconciliation mission inside of the Covenant ship. All of these unique art styles and features combine to give us a unique perspective and look into a futuristic human race, a foreign alien race, and for some reason their love of the color purple, and a look into an ancient alien race that was light years ahead of their time. There was one thing that stood out to me about Halo Combat Evolved's art style, and that thing is just kind of how insanely dark this game is, like visually. There are multiple times where you have to rely on your flashlight to see literally anything that is going on around you. The one time I did think this was sick was during the Truth and Reconciliation mission, where you pull up and it's at nighttime and it feels like you're hitting a Navy SEAL Osama bin Laden kind of just recon. But there were plenty of other times where I was like actually struggling to see. But at the same time, a lot of this lighting choice and lack of brightness in the game actually helps kind of solidify one of the unexpected things that we didn't think we would see in a Halo game, which is this element of like horror. One of the biggest things that I noticed throughout level design in Halo Combat Evolved is just the blatant copy and pasting of different locations that you had to work your way through. The first one is when you're inside of the Covenant ship, the Truth and Reconciliation mission. The different hallways and rooms that you find yourself in, they kind of just all look the exact same. The worst offender of this copy and paste kind of level mentality was inside of the level 2 Betrayals. This is objectively my favorite level in the entire game because just that all-out warfare that's happening across this snow-covered mountain landscape. I mean, that is incredibly sick and dope. But half of this level is working your way through different bridges and tunnels and arenas that all look the exact same, just over and over and over again. And look, that's fine. I understand that at the time Bungie was a struggling company and that they probably had a lot of pressure from Microsoft, who just bought them, to be able to push out this product as fast as humanly possible. But the good news is that from level to level, like the different portions that you go to objectively, if you're talking about one level to the next, like those are completely indistinguishable from each other. It's completely brand new. It's exciting. Like I said, like 2 Betrayals, yes, it did have those repetitive halls and arena areas, but at the same time, you had that snow-covered landscape and you had to walk through them and battle through them, and it was the exact opposite of the sunny, warm beaches that you were just battling on like not even like 2 or 3 levels ago. Incorporating the human elements of like these earthly landscapes, yet alien ships, but also ancient creations, was such a unique blend of worlds that really defined the dopeness of Halo Combat Evolved, its art style and its worlds. The Halo Combat Evolved soundtrack is one of the dopest soundtracks that has ever grazed over a first-person shooter experience. Composed by a couple of absolutely dope gangster ballers named Martin O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore, the soundtrack completely encapsulates and represents the feelings and the emotions and the themes that are going on inside of the game. A compact, atmospheric mix of chants. Dude, the opening song, like the Halo theme song, one of the most iconic songs throughout all of video game history. We got a lot of key themes that we see across a lot of the songs on the soundtrack. We got those vocal chants that start off at the beginning of the main theme, and they reoccur as this mysterious but ancient portion to bring back some reminiscence of like historical battles. Orchestral strings, they kind of hit that bum 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 bum. That's that triplet. They hit a lot of those triplets in there to kind of carry on the theme's motion. We got tribal percussion and drum patterns that give combat gameplay like this like energy of like primal dominance. We got a lot of electronic textures and synthesizers going in there and filling up a lot of this empty space. Those synths, they add a lot of like alien ambiance. And awesome enough, they even worked in like an interactive audio engine that would play songs when you were in specific portions of a level. O'Donnell, he actually used like a live mix of actual musicians and synthesized instruments that weirdly enough kind of helped make it feel cinematic but also game intensive at the same time. O'Donnell, I mean, he was the king of these strong, short, sketched out melodies. And the intention of that was so they could be looped or layered. And then in this process, he worked with Bungie designers so those portions could be worked into chunks. So the audio could actually be playing based off of the player's actions dynamically. Swag enough, I mean, there are a few fun facts that actually kind of go along with the soundtrack for Halo. O'Donnell himself, I mean, he referenced that he used the Beatles Yesterday as some of like his like kind of melodies that would play alongside the soundtrack and the tunes. The opening chant that I was talking about, that was recorded by O'Donnell's homies. And allegedly, I guess O'Donnell, he cooked up that theme in like 2 days. They say Rome wasn't built in a day, but you know what, this theme, 2 days? Yeah, that proves otherwise. Halo Combat Evolved, it proved that a game soundtrack could create a mythic atmosphere with a handful of memorable elements. And that is what makes the soundtrack so dope. Hey dog, if you weren't aware, Halo is a first-person shooter. The entire game, it revolves around shooting people from the first-person perspective. It doesn't really get any more complicated than that. From the first time that you pick up a weapon to the last mission when you're running to the getaway ship, you're shooting people in the face like you're a radicalized teenager who just got honeypotted by the CIA on a 4chan thread to go commit an act of mass violence. So what are some of the variables that make this gameplay exciting aside of the repetitive and monotonous goal of just first-person shooting? Well, for starters, one of the biggest things about Halo that can actually change up a lot of the gameplay style that you choose is that type of weapon that you are using from the first-person perspective. Marines, they got a pretty simple roster of weapons that you can choose and play from. They got your typical assault rifle. Oh, this weapon is objectively dope, as I mean, it is one of the staples of the game. Like, it's never really my first choice as I go to it because, it feels like that one of the, like, the damage that it gives off while you're using it just doesn't feel like it's enough to really do like a whole lot of damage compared to some of the other weapons. The next weapon that the Marines have is your choice of a secondary pistol. This is actually kind of surprising, as most games, the pistol, the secondary weapon that they give you, is actually normally somewhat of a pooper. It lacks like giving any sort of incredible amount of damage. Halo, it's actually different here because the pistol they give you is like insanely OP'd. And it has a pretty decent rate of fire, especially if you're cooking the trigger button on the back of your controller. The next option here that they give you is a rocket launcher. This is the ultimate firepower up against a group of enemies or one of the larger enemies like a hunter. The problem with the rocket launcher though is that primarily throughout Halo, the way that you find ammo for your guns is based off of the weapons that the enemies are using, and they'll drop them, or if you find dead Marines and they drop them. And the problem with the rocket launcher is the ammo of it is very sparse. You can't really find it that much as you're working your way around the map. And I mean, the last weapon here, and I will go on record and I will say is the most goated weapon in all of Halo Combat Evolved, is the shotgun. With it being a one-hit wonder most of the time, the shotgun is absolutely swagged up beast mode 532 trillion mode faux real. I learned that lesson fast, that when you find a shotgun laying around on the ground during your playthrough, you drop that assault rifle and you pick it up immediately. In the level library, I was tweaking so hard. I was so pissed because at the end of 343 Guilty Spark or whatever that was, like, when you go into the library, they don't give you the shotgun that you had already, so you have to make like a mad dash and find one of the Flood that has a shotgun to pick it up, and I didn't know that, so I died like 500 times until I figured that out. Yeah, throughout the playthrough, you can also get some of the Covenant weapons, but there are like 2, I'm pretty sure, and they're kind of poop. The only one that I actually like is the plasma rifle, because that one does a pretty decent amount of damage, and will take away some of the Jackal shields, who, we'll talk about later. The second largest factor that makes Halo Combat Evolved feel so unique and different outside of its repetitive first-person shooting are the things that you're shooting at. The main enemy that the Spartans were bred to defeat were the Covenant. And oh baby, do we see a whole lot of Covenant across our journey throughout the ring. We got some of the easiest bad boys to defeat. We got ourselves the Grunts. The Grunts look like turtles if they fell into a vat of acid, Joker style. And then when they got out, their priority was more violence and anger compared to eating lettuce or shaking their little booties and dancing around when they're getting hit by water in the shower. They are the smallest and easiest enemies to obliterate, but the problem is they do love moving in hordes. And you got Jackals, which objectively piss me off more than any other enemy type. They got these cowardly shields that they can sit behind that just perfectly block any shot that you shoot off at them. And you have to perfectly line up your shot so it actually like hits that little spot that where their weapon is sticking out of. That makes them drop their shield. Then we got elites, which I mean are basically like the one of one, kind of same as the Spartans, but on the Covenant side. Those like real tall guys. They got these quick moves that allows them to duck and roll. And for some godforsaken reason, the development team at Bungie decided that they would give them perfect aimbot when it came to throwing plasma grenades. And then we got hunters, which are the big dogs. They're the champs. They're absolute units. They shoot these big old plasma balls, and you gotta duck and you gotta get out of the way so they don't hit you. Then you pump as many rounds into them as you can, like around their shield or into their back. Or I mean, you can just smoke them with a rocket launcher. And then we got the Flood. Take the majority of the enemy types that I just referenced and take a parasitic octopus and stick it straight up their pooper. Most of the time, the Flood, they can just be one-shotted with a shotgun, which makes me think that maybe Kurt Cobain might have been a member of the Flood. These enemy types, I mean, they were dope. Third factor that made Halo very unique and like break up the monotonous play of just first-person shooting was your ability to use vehicles across a lot of these large, sprawling battles. Vehicles like the tanks, the ghosts, the warthogs, the banshees. They helped really create this atmosphere that really made it feel like it was just all-out warfare. And at the time, I mean, this was something that felt like it was completely new compared to a lot of other first-person shooters that were out at the time. And even one of those where you like added in flying into the levels using a Banshee. You just go and hop in that Banshee and you start flying around like you own it. I mean, that was just incredibly sick. Having vehicles that were human but also alien made this game so insanely fun, and also was just another way to help break up that monotony of first-person shooting. All Combat Evolved's triumphs and accolades, there are a few things that we need to talk about if we're going to talk about this game. While this game is as close to it gets as being a perfect sci-fi action first-person shooter, it does really have a few downfalls that really made me so pissed that at some points I thought I was going to throw my head through my computer desk. I mean, first thing we got to address, I mean, I am incredibly stupid. I was a bachelor arts college kid and I had a 2.7 GPA at graduation. With that being said, hey, please, Bungie, and I mean, it's way too late now and they've got better about it, but why would you ever create a game that does not have waypoints, especially in a game that is as large as this one, to show you exactly where you need to go next? There were not that many true key indicators or objectives like in a level that would kind of help you show where you needed to go next. Prime example was when you first get your Warthog and you got to go search for all the other Marines that got lost on the Halo. You have to go into this man-made underground bridge that takes you from one portion of the Halo to the next. And there's a light bridge under there that needs to be activated to allow you to get across. I'm not even kidding. You can go back and watch my first stream of this game. It took me 10 to 15 minutes of me just roaming around, thumb knuckle deep up my pooper, figure out where the switch just to activate the light bridge was. As a guy who probably hadn't played this campaign in like 10 or 15 years at this point, I completely forgot where the switch was. Genuinely, I probably wouldn't have figured it out if in my chat I didn't have the equivalent of like one of those cheat code books that you could get from the Scholastic Book Fair. If I didn't have one of those metaphorically in my chat looking up IGN guides of where to find the switch for the bridge, I would have never figured it out. The second thing that pissed me off about this game is the fact that, and I'm pretty sure that they fixed this in Halo 2 and 3, is the use of health packs and the fact that your health just doesn't regenerate, and the fact that those health packs are so just like not available anywhere that you need to be. Especially in places that are right before a checkpoint. There are so many times where I would clock into a checkpoint with like literally 1 bar of health and a full shield and just aimlessly roam around and try not to get into any altercations with the Flood or the Covenant, which is like, hey, the whole point of the game. Because if that happened, I would get smoked faster than Harry Potter's parents after they decided to let Voldemort give their baby a goofy odd little lightning scarf on his forehead. The level that pissed me off the most, and I mean just in general, but especially with the health packs, was the library. I have never felt the rage of 1,000 ancestors flow through my veins and boil my blood as much as I did when I was playing library. But at the same time, the risk-reward ratio here made the playing levels like library or any of these other ones where the health packs are sparse. The risk-reward ratio here was that much better because it was so much more gratifying when you would beat it because it was that difficult. The thing is that all these elements, like outside of the downfalls, the pitfalls or whatever, which is just me being a little whiner, complainer baby, is the fact that all these things combine together to make a really interesting and fun and unique gameplay experience. That's what made the gameplay so dope. Combination of a fresh retelling and new original ideas into a formula that already existed for sci-fi adventures with music and levels that really shaped, and they were like actually codified to be adaptive along with what you were playing in those levels, and gameplay that helps shift up just the monotonous act of first-person shooting. All of these factors combined, that's what makes Halo Combat Evolved so incredibly dope. All right. You got to play Halo Combat Evolved. It was the foundation and the jumping off point for the thing that would create this iconic franchise and literal reason why people would buy an Xbox over PlayStation. Well, I mean, up until recently, I guess. There are a few ways that you can play Halo Combat Evolved today. First option is go to your local game store and go pick up an original Xbox with that behemoth of a controller and a copy of Halo Combat Evolved. Plug that bad boy into a CRT TV and listen to nu metal as you eat pizza and drink Mountain Dew. Another option is that if you still have an Xbox 360, you can get the 10-year anniversary release of Halo Combat Evolved. I think I technically played that one, but it's basically just the re-release that is a fresh paint of like Reach graphics slapped all over it, but you can revert back to the original graphics if you want. Excuse me. Good God. Third and most obvious option here is what I did, and it's just buy or have Game Pass and play the Master Chief Collection. It's so good, and if you're going to be following along with my Halo series, the original trilogy, at this point you might as well just have all of them. Do you think you could beat Master Chief in a dunk contest if he got drafted into the Pacers in Game 7? Have you ever been pulled over and had to do a first-person shooter calibration test? Let me know in the comments. And as always, this channel was made to promote my band. Go check out our debut album, Destined to Conquer. All right, this is it, my friends. We will see you in the next installment of our Halo Trilogy series. Hey, this is Cornborn, and I'm signing out.